rain pours relentlessly, each drop piercing the night like needles against my skin. It's not the kind of rain that makes you shiver. It's the kind that strips you bare, washing away everything you thought you knew about yourself. I stand there, trembling, not from the cold, but from the realization that I'm on the brink of something irreversible. 3 months ago, I was invincible, or so I thought. My life was a well-rehearsed script: career climbing, relentless ambition, and the intoxicating glow of success. People admired me, envied me even. But I had no idea that this carefully constructed empire was about to crumble. And that's where this story begins. Success wasn't just a goal, it was my identity. The big deal I closed at work? A victory everyone called impossible. The nickname The Closer? I wore it like armor. But deep inside, there was a shadow I refused to face, a voice whispering that my foundations were cracked. It started subtly, like a splinter under the skin. I brushed off colleagues' ideas in meetings, convinced mine were better. I silenced criticism with a smirk, my arrogance building like a dam ready to burst. And then, the moment of truth, presenting our project to the board. This was my chance. I ignored my team, sidelined their input, and went solo. It was my spotlight, my triumph, or so I believed. But as I stood in front of the board, the cracks in my confidence split wide open. I stumbled through slides, fumbled details, and felt their eyes bore into me like accusations. When it was over, the room was silent. My boss's anger was palpable. My team's disappointment stung more than words ever could. That day, I didn't just lose the deal. I lost their trust, and with it, my own sense of self. The diner was empty, except for me and my misery. The air smelled of stale coffee and grease, matching the bitterness in my chest. That's when he walked in. A wiry old man with a tattered coat and a weathered book tucked under his arm. His presence was unassuming, but his eyes? They had seen storms. Without asking, he slid into the booth across from me and said, "Rough day, Normally, I'd brush off a stranger, but tonight I spilled everything. My failure, my fame, my fear. He listened with the patience of someone who's carried their own burdens. When I finished, he smiled, not a pitying smile, but one that seemed to say, "I've been there too." "Sounds like you're meeting an old friend," he said. "Friend?" I scoffed. "Failure feels more like an enemy." He opened his book, its pages filled with faded ink and scribbled notes. "Not failure, humility. It's the best teacher you'll ever have," he said calmly. The rain outside intensified, as if nature itself demanded my attention. The old man spoke of humility like it was a treasure hidden in plain sight. "The world," he said, "worships pride, loud, flashy, and brittle. But humility? That's bedrock. It's quiet, enduring, and unbreakable." His words pulled me into a story he'd seen play out countless times. He asked, "What did you see when you failed?" I admitted I saw flaws I'd ignored: arrogance, blind ambition. Humility holds a mirror, he said. Not to punish, but to guide. Only when you face the truth can you grow. You shut your team out, he continued. Why? I didn't trust anyone but myself. And where did that get you? He pressed. Humility opens doors you can't force open. It builds trust, and trust is a bridge pride will never cross. He leaned forward. Pride crumbles under failure, but humility? It stands firm and says, what can I learn? Every setback becomes a stepping stone. He flipped to a blank page in his book. Humility cuts through the noise. It asks, why are you doing this? Not for applause or validation, but for meaning. Pride scatters. Humility focuses. Finally, he said, true humility isn't weakness. It's knowing your worth without shouting it. It's power under control, like a river that carves stone in silence. As he spoke, something shifted inside me. The rain outside felt less like punishment and more like renewal. How do I start? I asked, my voice trembling with both fear and hope. He closed his book and handed me a page torn from its spine. Start by listening to yourself, to others, to the lessons life is offering you. Humility isn't a destination, it's a journey. And every step forward, that's where strength is born. Humility isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about recognizing that you're part of something larger, something profound. It's the realization that true strength lies not in how loudly you proclaim your victories, but in how quietly you embrace your growth. Pride may demand attention, but humility earns respect, and respect lasts. That night in the rain, with a stranger's wisdom echoing in my mind, I made a choice to rebuild, not on the shaky ground of arrogance, but on the steady foundation of humility. I began listening more, judging less. I let go of the fear of failure and replaced it with curiosity about what I could learn. And slowly, life began to transform, not because I had all the answers, but because I stopped pretending that I did. So here's my challenge to you. Take a moment right now to reflect. Where is pride holding you back? Who in your life could benefit from your humility? What lesson is life trying to teach you, if only you'd listen? Three steps to embrace humility. 1. Pause before you react. When faced with criticism or setbacks, don't react defensively. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? 2. Acknowledge others. Give credit where it's due. Celebrate the contributions of others, and you'll build bridges instead of walls. 3. Be open to change. Humility isn't static. Be willing to revise your opinions and adapt, knowing that growth comes from flexibility. Remember, humility isn't about shrinking. It's about standing firm, knowing your worth without the need to shout it. If this story resonated with you, it's because it's part of something bigger. Here on this channel, we believe in the power of self-reflection, growth, and the courage to confront life's hardest truths. Subscribe now to join a community of people who aren't afraid to embrace the storm, knowing that the rain isn't there to drown us. It's there to help us grow. Together, let's become great, not through the roar of pride, but through the quiet strength of humility.